This is the G.I. Joe Cobra H.I.S. and the Baroness. Now, both these figures actually have already gone on clearance, about 50% discount here in Manila, and they have sold out ever since they went on clearance. And weeks after, I think they went on clearance early this year, and then the secondary market retailers just had a field day, and the prices shot up from, I think this was retailing for about 48, 50 bucks. It's now retailing on retail for about $70 to $80. The Baroness, together with the rest of the figures in the wave of retro carded G.I. Joe figures, they went on clearance for about just under 20 bucks. And now she's selling online for about 25, 30 bucks. Growing up as a kid, I had a ton of G.I. Joes, and the H.I.S. tank was one of my first G.I. Joe Cobra vehicles back then when I was a kid. And I already sold off my H.I.S. tank, and I just, I saw this, I thought maybe I'd get it, but because of the nostalgia. But when it went on clearance, I couldn't find it anywhere. I went to Green Hills. There was a shop that had it. The first shop I had was selling it for about $80, $85. I was like, no way. Online, I checked, it was going for about 60 bucks. There was a shop though that had him, and I asked, how much are you selling it? Because I know it went down to about 28 bucks clearance. And he says, it's about $36. And I said, okay, I'm gonna give it. Is there any, you gonna give me a discount? Do you think they can give me a discount? And the clerk said, no, that's it, 36. Okay, I said, okay, fine. I picked it up. At least the seller, I don't think he had any idea what he had, because I know a lot of collectors are after this one, and it's the H.I.S. 3 that has stayed on some of the shelves despite being on clearance. Now this one, I found a seller sold it to me for 20 bucks on Facebook, so I took a chance, and luckily, this one has pretty decent paint apps and a perfect card. I don't think there are any scratches or dings and dents when I got it. So, looking good. Let's get these out of packaging. Let's begin with the Baroness. Oh my goodness, this figure turned out great. Despite being such a small figure, there's a ton of details in this figure. I don't have the modern releases of the Baroness, nor did I have the G1 original 80s Baroness. So this is probably my first Baroness. If I recall, I think I did have the Lady J and Baroness 2-pack. I can't remember if I reviewed that on this channel or on my previous FX Trends channel, but this figure looks amazing. It just feels a little small. Look at my hand. I don't know. Maybe it's been a while since I've handled 3.75-inch figures. I just feel they're a little smaller than I remember them. It could just be an optical illusion, my eyes just playing tricks on me, but despite being diminutive and small and very thin, and it feels like it's a very fragile and delicate figure, it actually holds up. It's actually very, very nice. Let's take a closer look at the details of this figure. Look at that head sculpt. I thought there would be a lot of paint splotches and quality issues here and there, but look at the way the lipstick, the eyes, and those frames of her spectacles, the way they've been painted, just amazing. I don't know how they could do it in such a small piece of plastic. The hair is in this high gloss. I want to say it's painted. I don't think it's molded. It's molded black plastic, but I think they painted over it with some high gloss. There is this normal glossy finish on her entire body, limbs and torso. Some details, Cobra belt, and that iconic Cobra emblem on her chest. She holds the weapons fairly well, despite being a figure with small hands. She's got a long rifle, which is a little bit more modern than what I'm used to. I remember her rifle didn't have too much of stock. It had a longer barrel or something like that, but that's what I remember from the old Baroness, but I guess they updated it. She's got this new submachine gun, more modern submachine gun. And she comes with a ton of other accessories, the Baroness base plate. And if you remember, there was a series, the old movie G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra. Hasbro did release a bunch of figures in the 3.75-inch line, and the Baroness figure was one of them, played by Sienna Miller. These are the accessories that came with that Rise of Cobra Baroness. I know I think I did a review. I can remember, if I remember correctly, I know I did a review of that Baroness, and these space age guns and the Mars suitcase, if I remember correctly, and that grappling hook were part of that figure. I'm not complaining. I'm glad we get a ton of accessories with these reissues. It's just curious, and I was just wondering why they had included the Rise of Cobra weapons for the Baroness. Maybe I was hoping that we get more weapons, maybe knives, swords, and all that. But yeah, very, very cool. So the figure, I don't know if it's a repaint. Like I said, I don't have any more of my 3.75-inch figures. Let me know in the comment section if this is a repaint or a remold. It doesn't seem to have any mold degradation. All the joints seem to be tight. Ball-jointed neck, severely hindered by her hair sculpt. It's got a ball-jointed upper torso. The arms can go in and out, forward and backward 360. Same with the elbows. It's a ball hinge. The gloves are on swivels. Nice sculpted gauntlets, by the way. You can't pop them off fairly easily if they're stuck, because when I took her out of packaging, it was a little tight, so I had to pop that glove out and just pop it back in. It's fine. The swivel will function properly. The feet, or the legs, they've got those metal ball joints. You got a screw right here, reminiscent of the old 80s design of the action figures. So the legs can go in and out, forward and backward. The knees are on double hinge joints. The ankles are on swivel and a hinge. And even without that base stand or base plate, I think you can stand her up fairly easily. So despite being in high heels, she does stand up pretty okay. For some size comparisons, here is the Baroness with a Voyager class Siege Megatron. Man, I would kill to have a movie wherein the Autobots team up with G.I. Joe and Cobra teams up with the Decepticons. A live action movie with these guys would be epic. Please, Hasbro, make it happen. And now for the Cobra H.I.S.S tank. H.I.S.S, I think, still stands for High Speed Sentry. Oh my goodness, this vehicle set is gorgeous. I remember having this tank when I was a kid. That was my very first Cobra vehicle. And I remember it was such an amazing toy. I played with it all the time. I don't have it right now. I had sold it off about a decade ago. I think this is a little bigger than that. I don't know. Somebody let me know in the comment section if they had increased this, or this is just a remold of that vehicle, because the stamp on the body of this tank is 2004. So I reckon it's a new body mold, not the 1984 mold. Nevertheless, it is an amazing, amazing set. It can fit two figures. There's one in the turret, one inside the cockpit. That's the H.I.S.S tank driver. We're going to show him off later. There are pegs on the back for other Cobra troopers or other Cobras to hop onto as the tank is moving. He's got a hitch. Also, if you've noticed, I did apply the decals. Most of you would know that I'm a bit partial to not applying the decals, but this is a G.I. Joe vehicle and you need to apply the decals. And as I was putting on all the stickers, I had this rush of nostalgia, and I had forgotten how much of a great feeling it is to be applying stickers on a G.I. Joe vehicle or a Cobra vehicle. It was just a surreal experience. Took me straight back to my childhood. This set just did a lot of wonders for me, and to the point that I'm actually even thinking of going back to collecting 3.75-inch figures, particularly the G.I. Joe figures. But I'm doing my best to stop myself from getting back into that black hole. But nevertheless, this purchase I am not regretting. definitely an amazing vehicle. If you are a troop builder type of collector, you're gonna need more than one of this H.I.S.S tank. I mean, to have an armada of H.I.S.S tanks, that is amazing. That's gonna look great on your shelf. So the vehicle will roll. He's got some rollers right here, just like the old 80s toy, if I remember. And moves very nicely. He can turn, sort of. Doesn't scrape the floor as much. The turret can swivel. The guns can move up and down. You can put any figure obviously here in the turret. And then the canopy opens to reveal the H.I.S.S tank driver. And this one feels more of a 3.75 inch figure than the Baroness. The Baroness does feel small, given that it is a female figure and most of the male figures would normally be bigger than the female figures. It feels a little light though, but I'm okay with it. I think the scale is pretty good. I love the details of the H.I.S.S tank driver. He's got a vest. It's a separate piece. I'm not going to try and remove it. I love this wonderful head sculpt of the helmet. Painted beautifully. It's just a shame he doesn't come with any guns or accessories except for this base plate. And it says Cobra Trooper. I don't know why. Somebody let me know in the comments if you have this set and if it also says Cobra Trooper, because if I remember correctly, it should be H.I.S.S tank driver, but maybe Hasbro was scrimping on the reissue, so they're cutting costs, so it's okay. But I love the high gloss on his thigh boots. Just here on this part. This one's just a normal gloss. Matte finish on the red armor. Really nice. Obviously, you can also put the Baroness inside the cockpit or any other figure if you wanted to, and it fit nicely. The cockpit is lined with some molded in details. No stick or steering wheel though. Yeah, the old toy didn't have that either, but would have been nice if they updated it with that. So here's a look at that turret. It's a very solid vehicle and definitely one to pick up if you're a big fan of these G.I. Joe sets. And for some comparisons, here is the H.I.S.S tank with Megatron, Siege Megatron in his alt mode. You can see Baroness riding Megatron. It's not a perfect scale with Megatron obviously, but kind of could work as like a mini cannon against G.I. Joe and the Autobots. Some final thoughts on the G.I. Joe Cobra H.I.S.S tank and the Baroness 3.75 inch scaled figures and sets. I thought it was great. If you're a big G.I. Joe fan, the Cobra H.I.S.S tank is an absolute must-have. It harkens so much from your childhood days back in the 80s. I mean, if you grew up with these sets, you are going to love this new version of the H.I.S.S tank. The Baroness came out great, quite impressive despite being such a small figure. They will fit nicely as well. If you are a big Transformers fan, you put some Decepticons together with your display with this H.I.S.S tank and Baroness figures and sets and vehicles. They're gonna look great on the shelf. Both the Baroness and the H.I.S.S tank are going to get a 10 out of 10. Let me know in the comment section what you think of these two. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.